Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jennifer. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make this rustic tree mosaic. This is something I saw on Pinterest and used this picture as inspiration. These are the supplies you're going to need: a small piece of plywood, roughly 3 pieces of pallet boards, just make sure they're the same thickness, wood glue, pin or brad nails, and paint. These are the tools that I used, although you can get away with doing this project without these tools. I used a table saw, miter saw, circular saw, sander, and pin nailer. You're also going to need a square, tape measure, and most likely some clamps. Okay, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I took. There are 7 rows on that sample that I looked at. I think I'm going to make each row 1.5 inches in width. So that would be 10.5 with my 7 rows. And then there's that little white border, and I'm just going to leave myself a little extra room, and I'm going to cut this 11 by 10. All right, so I picked out a couple. These are nice and light pieces of pallet wood, but what I'm going to do first is run them through and get a nice straight edge, and then go back and cut them at 1.5 inches in width. Okay, as you might have noticed, my background changed. It's freezing outside. I've moved into my basement workshop. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and kind of map out on that piece of plywood what I want to do. A couple other things I want to note. If you're cutting on a miter saw like I am, some of these pieces might be very small, so you want to make sure that you either tape down, clamp down, or use another longer piece over top. I'm only pointing that out because with mosaics like this, you tend to be working with, in some cases, very small pieces. So you naturally want to try to plan this out to make sure that your cuts are far away from your hands. This piece of trim that I found outside, it was already cut. This is actually going to be too big. So I do have an outline drawn here, and I realized it doesn't allow for 7 full pieces of this. I think I said it was 1.5 inches in the beginning. So that is going to go by the wayside, probably get trimmed down. I'm going to find center. This is 10 wide, 5 is dead center. So 5.5. So I've marked out my center, and then I'm just going to draw 3 down, 3 up, and then I will figure out my angles and start cutting the pieces. 6, 7. Somehow I didn't really allow for room for trim. I'm gonna have to figure that out. All right, first piece. Okay, first row, second row. I basically just kind of eyeballed it. I had this piece here, and I traced a 45 that I liked from the top of this angle to the end. 5 inches. So I'm actually going to need to duplicate that on the other side. Okay, this might be one of those situations where I kind of went and lay that down. This piece along the bottom is close to 3 inches. So I'm going to need to cut over here. That looks good. I should probably number these slats here. Okay, so this is going to be 1, and this is going to be 2A, 2B, 2A, 2B. So this is 2A, 2B, 2C. That'll come in handy when you have the pieces off and you're painting them and then you have to reassemble. It's gonna be 7. Okay, so that's like 3 inches at the base. Maybe this next one should be about 4 inches. Okay, so each time I'm gonna add like an inch to this piece. Hope that makes sense. So I'm just gonna carry on. Okay, there's center. So instead of going over 1.5 inches, I wanna go from center and mark 2 inches. This angle has to end there. I'm gonna cut that. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Each row gets 1 inch longer. So what I have done, and it works well, is to lay my piece flush. Like this is my next leading piece. I marked the middle. Okay, so like the base of that was 3 inches. The base of this is 4 inches. So this will be 5 inches. So I found my center and I'm gonna mark the place that's from here 2.5. And then on that side, I'll do 2.5 as well. Hopefully it is making sense. It really helps to have a sharp pencil so that that line is crisp and accurate. So 2.5. And then I line that edge of the square up with my mark and get my angle. All right, yeah, that makes sense. Now, I know when I began woodworking, I would often make this mistake. You have to allow for the curve or the area that's going to get eaten up and cut up in the blade. That's why you wouldn't want to start with a full 10-inch piece, because it's going to, you're going to lose some material each cut you make. And that's also why I cannot really trust this piece, because that is not going to line up in the center now. See, there's that piece, and then when I put this back, that mark is off. So now I have to find a new center. Okay, so there's my new center. I'm gonna cross that off, and then I'm gonna measure 2.5 inches out from there. Okay. Okay, so now I line that edge up with that mark, and I'm gonna cut right there. Okay. All right, we're gonna have one more row of that Christmas tree. Then this spot will be at the trunk, which hopefully that's easy to cut. And then that'll be the end. And it looks like I kind of estimated for this wrong. I'm going to have to do my trim probably like on the outside. I'll have to cut new trim, but it'll probably have to be alongside of that. We'll worry about that later. Find my center. So I'm gonna do 6 inches overall, but I'm gonna have to have from here 3 inches out on each side. Okay, there's my 3 inches. Okay, cutting that. Okay, so there's this next row. Okay, there's 3 inches. Forgot I'm supposed to be marking these. This is 3A, 3B, 3C, 4A, 4B, 4C, 4A, 5A, 5B, 5C. Now, we're almost done. Well, with that part. So here's my piece 7. Rather than marking center like I did with the others, I think I'm just gonna kind of guesstimate and cut this trunk first and then cut the other pieces around it. So I think that this should be about probably that wide. How wide is that? Oh, about 1 inch. All right, so do it in 1 inch. Because is going to be a small piece, okay? I don't want to get my hands this close. I might even kind of tape this for more stability. You could do like a couple different things like this, but butt this up next to that and then take a longer board and hold these into place. And push down. Keep that from moving and flying up or dragging your hand in. Yeah, I don't want to get my hand that close to the blade. Okay. So this is 6A, 6B, which that's the only one like it. 6C. All right. Oh, this is going to be cute. Okay, so here is this all laid out. I'm going to actually have extra, which I'm probably going to glue all this and do it just to make sure, and then I'll end up cutting that off. But here's where I'm at. I'm going to take all of these pieces and paint them, and I'll do a time lapse of that. Okay, so all of the pieces are about dry. I'm going to be starting from the top. I'll be using my Tight Bond wood glue. I'm going to be putting it on each piece with a brush. And then I have my 23 gauge pin nailer. I'm not going to be shooting a lot of holes in these pieces, just enough to tack it into place until that wood glue dries. Also, because I kind of guesstimated with the piece of this board, I'm going to have a little, maybe like a 1/2 inch piece at the very bottom I'll have to trim off, but I would rather have extra than be short. So that is what I'm going to do next. Here's all my pieces. Some of these were custom mixes of paint that I already have on hand. I just took that Pinterest picture and used it as kind of an inspiration. I didn't try to exactly match it. You'll see when I do the layout, I kind of changed up the way that that goes too. Also, the picture on Pinterest has a more severe pitch with that tree. I used 45s. They used some other angle. I'm not quite sure. But you can do this however you want. You can make them fatter trees, skinnier, add more lines. It's totally up to you. Also a note, when you're painting, make sure you go over the edges just a little bit, because sometimes, like if you have the rows butted together, you might be able to see down into them a little. So that is why I painted not quite all of the board, but you do want to get at least the top portion here. Okay. I'm actually not quite sure what size nails I have. They should go through this completely and into most of the board, but not poke out the other side. Okay, so that feels nice and even the whole way around. A lot of woodworking is feeling for evenness, and I think we're good. So now I'm going to go to row 2A. 2A. I don't want to get too close to anything that might be fragile, like a corner. Oh my gosh, this is turning out really cute already. The colors, this is giving me such a camping vibe. Oh my gosh, I love it already. Here's what I have so far. It's giving me like a total outdoorsy, like cabin vibe. I think this actually transcends just Christmas. I would put that up in the winter time. It's just adorable. Yep, we're out. Here's what I'm using. These are actually Porter cable, 23 gauge. These are 1-inch headless pin nails. All right, I'm gonna let that thoroughly dry and then trim off any excess. The last step is going to be taking some pallet pieces. I trimmed them to size. I was going to do like a white border and then a stained border, and I actually kind of like the natural with the natural. I think it kind of makes the tree pop. So what I'm going to do is cut these. You could do just butt joints. I think I'm going to do mitered corners. That is completely up to you, but that is the final step. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this video on craft. If you have any questions, please leave them for me in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm also on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and a few other platforms, so please find me there as well. As always, I thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.